The boardroom shattered like fine crystal under a careless heel when I burst through the double doors. Coffee thermos exploding across the polished mahogany table in a scalding arc that hit Dominic Hale square in the chest. "Mr. Hale, sir. It's the investors, they're pulling out right now." My voice cracked like thunder, but it was the way his eyes locked on mine. Not in rage, but in something feral and unguarded. That pinned me to the spot, the room's collective gasp fading into white noise. In that split second, as steam rose from his soaked Armani shirt clinging to the hard lines of his torso, I realized I'd just stripped away the armor of the untouchable CEO, exposing a man who looked at me like I was the only anchor in his storm. I'd always been the odd man out at Hale Luxe, the glittering empire of high-end watches and bespoke jewelry that turned Fifth Avenue into a shrine for the one-percenters. Nestled in the heart of Manhattan's Diamond District, our headquarters was a fortress of glass and gold, where assistants flitted like elegant swans in pencil skirts and Louboutins. Me, Elias Crow, 28, the lone guy in the executive pool, hired on a whim because HR needed diversity points, after some viral TikTok called us out for being a boys' club in drag. I handled schedules, sourced rare emeralds from Colombian mines via encrypted calls at 3 a.m., and endured the side eyes from the women who whispered I was probably spying for the competition or worse. One of those. Yeah, I was gay. Flamboyantly so in my private life, with pride flags tucked in my desk drawer and a Grindr profile that saw more action than a Broadway marquee. But at work, I was buttoned up Elias. Crisp collars, no rainbow pins, just quiet competence that kept me invisible. Until that Tuesday in July, when the world decided to play matchmaker with disaster. It started with a whisper from the trading floor. Vanguard was dumping their stake in Hale Luxe stock, spooked by whispers of counterfeit scandals leaking from anonymous forums. Dominic, God, even his name rolled off the tongue like aged whiskey, was in crisis mode, barricaded in the boardroom with the C-suite vultures circling. I was in the bullpen, juggling his calendar like a circus act, when my phone buzzed with the alert. Shares plummeting 15% in after hours. Panic clawed up my throat. If this tanked, we'd be hemorrhaging jobs. Mine included, but screw that. It'd gut the company my mom idolized since she clerked here in the 90s, back when it was just a scrappy jeweler peddling heirlooms to mob wives. I grabbed the thermos, black coffee, 2 sugars, his ritual, and sprinted. The elevator dinged like a death knell, and I shouldered into the boardroom just as Cynthia Voss, our CFO with her razor bob and trust fund sneer, was mid-tirade. "This is amateur hour, Dominic. If you'd listened to me about those overseas suppliers." The door flew wide, my foot catching on the threshold rug. Physics took over. Thermos tipping, lid popping like champagne. A geyser of Joe arcing through the air. It splattered across the table, soaking agendas, laptops, and yes, Dominic's chest. He jolted back, chair scraping, his broad shoulders flexing under the sudden wet assault. The room froze, forks and caviar midair from the catered lunch, eyes bulging like cartoon characters. But Dominic didn't yell. He didn't even blink at the mess. His gaze, those storm gray eyes that could freeze a room or ignite a deal, snagged on me, and in them, I saw not the scalding liquid, but the desperation in my face. "Elias," he said, voice low and rough, like gravel under tires, wiping a hand down his shirt without breaking eye contact. "Talk. Now." I stammered it out, the Vanguard dump, the forum leaks, the projections I'd crunched that morning showing we'd lose 40% market cap by dawn if we didn't counter. Cynthia huffed, dabbing at her sleeve, but Dominic waved her off, standing so close I could smell the bergamot of his cologne mixing with the bitter roast. "Get PR on the line," he barked to no one, then to me, quieter. "You saw this coming?" I'd flagged it in his inbox at 6:47 a.m. buried under 50 others. "Sure, but I'd seen it." "Yes, sir." I pulled the threads. "It's not counterfeits, it's sabotage. Someone's feeding lies." His jaw tightened, a muscle ticking like a second hand on one of our Patek Philippe tourbillons. For a beat, the room held its breath, and then he nodded, once sharp. "Clear out. Elias stays." They scattered like leaves in a gale, leaving us alone amid the wreckage. He peeled off his ruined shirt right there, casual as shedding a coat, revealing a torso sculpted from gym sessions that probably cost more than my rent. Inked runes snaking up his ribs, a scar like a lightning bolt across his pec from some prep school lacrosse mishap I'd Googled once in a weak moment. I averted my eyes, heat crawling up my neck, but not before he caught it. The flicker, the swallow. "Hand me that." He nodded at a spare blouse from Cynthia's emergency kit, smirking faintly as he shrugged it on, the silk hanging loose on his frame like a joke. "So, Mr. Diversity Hire, what's the play?" I laid it out. A rapid response presser, leveraging our blockchain provenance tech to debunk the fakes, and a quiet hunt for the leaker. He listened, leaning against the table, arms crossed, water droplets tracing paths down his neck that I forced myself not to follow. By the time his phone lit up with his brother's number, Gabriel Hale, the shadowy VP of operations who'd been indisposed in LA for weeks, we'd mapped a war plan. "You're with me on this?" he said, clapping my shoulder, his palm lingering a beat too long, warm through my shirt. "All night if it takes it." That touch? It was nothing, a boss appreciating a save. But as we dove into the fray, me pulling data from secure servers while he charmed analysts on speaker, I felt the shift. The way his eyes sought mine across the table, not for facts, but for reassurance. The accidental brushes of knuckles over shared keyboards. By 2 a.m., fueled by vending machine Red Bull and takeout Thai that arrived via Uber Black, the stock had stabilized. We'd won the night. As dawn bled pink across the skyline, Dominic leaned back, Thai askew, stubble shadowing his jaw. "You didn't have to run in like that, Elias. Could have emailed." I shrugged, exhaustion making me bold. "Emails don't make coffee rain, sir. But they do get the job done." He chuckled. A real one, low and rumbling. And for the first time, he said my name without the Mr. Elias. Just that, like it was a secret worth keeping. Little did I know it was the crack in the dam. And Gabriel? He was the flood waiting to break through. The days blurred into a high-wire act after that. Hale Lux roared back. Our presser went viral, Dominic's charisma turning potential catastrophe into testament to resilience. He kept me close. "Elias, handle the follow-up with the board. Elias, vet these supplier contracts." It was professional, sure, but laced with something electric. Late nights in his corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Empire State like a jealous lover. We'd debrief over bourbon he poured neat, no ice. He'd talk, not CEO platitudes, but fragments of the man. Summers in the Hamptons dodging his old man's expectations. The tattoo inked on a dare in Bangkok after sealing a deal with a Thai consortium. I'd share bits of my own patchwork life. Growing up in Queens with a single mom who hawked knockoff Rolexes at flea markets to fund my Parsons scholarship. The coming-out fight at 19 that left me couch-surfing for months. "You're tougher than you look," he'd say, eyes tracing my face like he was appraising a rare gem. I'd laugh it off, but inside, my heart was a live wire, sparking every time his knee bumped mine under the desk. I knew the rumors swirling in the break room. Elias is gunning for promotion. Or something more. The women eyed me with a mix of pity and protectiveness, like I was a puppy chasing a wolf. Then Gabriel returned. Dominic's younger brother by 3 years, the black sheep with the golden touch, VP of Ops, but really the fixer, the one who greased palms in Shanghai and hushed scandals in Milan. He blew in from LA like a Santa Ana wind. Tanned, tousled dark hair, eyes the same gray but sharper, hungrier. "Dom!" he boomed, clapping his brother on the back in the lobby. His gaze sliding to me like oil on water. "Heard you had a splashy save. Who's the hero?" Dominic introduced me casually, but Gabriel's handshake lingered, his grip assessing. "Elias Crow. The coffee klutz. More like the klutz who kept us afloat." Dominic shot back, a edge in his tone I hadn't heard before. That night at the obligatory family dinner, Dominic insisted, some ritual to realign the Hale axis. Gabriel cornered me by the bar in their penthouse overlooking Central Park. The place was a monument to old money. Crystal decanters, abstract Warhols, a grand piano no one played. "So, little bro's taken a shine to you," he murmured, pouring me a scotch I hadn't asked for. His smile was all teeth, charm dialed to 11. "Careful, Elias. Dom's not one for distractions. Last assistant who got too close? Let's just say she didn't make partner." I sipped, the burn steadying me. "I'm just doing my job, Mr. Hale." "Gabriel." And Bull. "I see the way he looks at you. Like you're the only real thing in this fake-ass empire." He leaned in, breath warm with whiskey. "But family's family. We protect our own." It landed like a warning wrapped in velvet. I brushed it off, but as the evening wore on, Dominic laughing at Gabriel's stories of Hollywood schmoozing, the brothers trading barbs that masked deeper currents, I felt the undercurrent. Gabriel's eyes on me, not admiring but calculating. And Dominic, pulling me into conversations, his hand brushing my arm when he passed the bread. By dessert, when he whispered, "Stay for a nightcap?" I nodded, pulse thundering. Gabriel excused himself early. Jet lag, he claimed, but not before murmuring to Dominic, "Don't forget the board meeting tomorrow. Priorities, brother." Alone on the terrace, city lights winking below, Dominic handed me a tumbler. He's always been the dramatic one. Thinks he's saving me from myself. "From what?" I asked, the scotch loosening my tongue. He stared out at the park, shadows carving hollows in his face. "From feeling. From this." His gesture took in the skyline, but his eyes were on me. The air thickened, charged like the moment before a storm breaks. I wanted to lean in, to bridge the gap with words I'd rehearsed in my head 100 times. "I see you, Dominic. Not the CEO, but the man." But fear clamped my throat. He was straight-edged, Manhattan royalty, with a string of models and socialites in his wake. I was the assistant who'd spilled coffee on him. Instead, I clinked glasses. "To Hale Lux, and whatever comes next." His smile was bittersweet. "To whatever comes next." We talked until the scotch ran dry, the conversation dipping into shallows and depths. His divorce 2 years back, a union of convenience that left him hollow. My ex, a barista who bailed when my hours turned me into a ghost. Dawn crept in, and as I rose to leave, he caught my wrist. "Elias, thank you for seeing it all." The touch lingered, a promise unspoken. I walked home through the waking city, heart a war drum, wondering if I'd imagined the heat in his gaze. But deep down, I knew. That day in the boardroom had cracked us both open. And Gabriel? He was already prying at the fissures. Weeks turned the spark into a slow burn, every interaction laced with subtext that hummed like the subway under our feet. Dominic started texting me off hours, not memos but fragments. "Saw a 72 Rolex at auction. Reminds me of that story you told about your mom's flea market finds." Or, at 11 p.m., "Can't sleep. Walk with me?" I'd meet him in the lobby, the building a ghost town after hours, and we'd pace the marble halls, trading confessions under the hum of fluorescence. He opened up about the weight of legacy. His father, the founder, who died of a heart attack mid-negotiation, leaving Dominic to stitch the empire from frayed threads at 25. "I build walls," he admitted one night, pausing by the window where rain sheeted the glass. "Keeps the hurt out. But you slipped through." I'd swallow hard, the compliment a double-edged blade. "Walls keep the good stuff out too, Dom." He'd nod, eyes distant, but his shoulder would brush mine as we walked, a deliberate accident that sent sparks skittering. At work, it was subtler. A lingering glance during meetings, his voice softening when he called my name. The women noticed. Cynthia cornered me in the ladies' lounge. "Yeah, I got an honorary pass," with a raised brow. "Careful kid, he's Hale catnip. Burns bright, leaves ash." I laughed it off, but her words burrowed like ticks. Gabriel, meanwhile, was a shadow growing longer. He inserted himself into our rhythm with surgical precision. "Dom, let me take Elias on that supplier run to Antwerp. Bond over croissants." "Yeah." Dominic demurred, but tension crackled between them like static. I'd catch Gabriel watching us, me handing Dominic a revised brief, our fingers grazing. Dominic's laugh at one of my dry quips about boardroom politics. Gabriel's smiles never reached his eyes, and his casual lunches with me turned interrogative. What's your angle, Elias? We both know you're not here for the watches. Just the paycheck. I'd lie, but he'd lean back, swirling his espresso like a villain in a noir flick. Dom's vulnerable right now. Post-divorce blues, you get it. Last thing he needs is complications. The word hung heavy, laced with implication. I wanted to snap back. What, like a guy who actually gives a damn? But I held my tongue. Gabriel was blood. I was hired help. Still, the barbs accumulated. A leaked memo with my errors highlighted. I'd never touched it. Whispers in the break room about favoritism. Then came the gala. Hale Lux's annual Met Gala afterparty was legend. Black tie excess in the armory, A-listers dripping in our diamonds, champagne fountains flowing like the Seine. I wasn't on the list, but Dominic texted, "Be my shadow. Need you there." Heart slamming, I rented a tux that pinched just right, slicked my hair, and stepped into the fray feeling like Cinderella at the ball. If the clock struck midnight with paparazzi flashes. He found me by the bar, resplendent in midnight blue velvet, a custom piece that hugged his frame like sin. "You clean up," he said, voice husky over the jazz quartet's swell. "So do you." I clinked my flute to his, bubbles rising like my pulse. We mingled, me murmuring intel on donors, him dazzling with that Hale charm. But the night was ours in stolen pockets. A dance on the edge of the floor, his hand firm at my waist, the world blurring to just the heat between us. A quiet alcove where he confessed, "This feels right. Dangerous, but right." My breath caught. Dom. Gabriel materialized like smoke, arms slung around Dominic's shoulders, a flute in hand. "Brother, there you are." And Elias, slumming it with the help. His laugh was brittle, eyes flicking between us like he was cataloging sins. Dominic stiffened, but played it cool. "Elias is family tonight. What's the word from the floor?" They dove into shop talk, but Gabriel's barbs flew. Sidelong jabs at my unconventional background. A too loud toast to loyalty above all. By the time dessert circulated, gold-dusted macarons, I was frayed, excusing myself to the terrace for air. The city sprawled below, a glittering beast, and I gripped the railing, wondering if I was chasing a ghost. Footsteps. "Dominic, you okay?" I turned, the wind whipping my tie. "Your brother's protective." He sighed, joining me at the rail. "Gabriel's always been the guardian. After Dad died, he stepped up, handled the ugly stuff so I could play White Knight. But he's got his demons. That LA trip? Rehab, off-books, pills, after a bad deal went south." The vulnerability in his voice cracked me open. "You don't have to carry it all, Dom." His hand found mine on the rail, fingers lacing tentative. "Maybe I don't want to. Not with you." Time suspended. The quartets fade, distant laughter. Just us and the pulse of the night. I leaned in, lips brushing his in a kiss that started soft, exploratory, then deepened with the hunger we'd both banked. His free hand cupped my jaw, thumb tracing my cheek, and for that eternal minute, the world was ours. No empires, no brothers, just two men stealing breath from the stars. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed. "Elias," he whispered like a prayer, but the terrace door banged open. Gabriel, silhouette stark against the lights. "Dom, we need you. Now." The moment shattered. Dominic squeezed my hand once, then pulled away, the mask slipping back on. I followed at a distance, the kiss a brand on my skin, but Gabriel's glance as we re-entered? It was ice, promising winter. The fallout hit like aftershocks. Next morning, Dominic was distant, texts curt, meetings buffered by aides. "Focus on the quarterly," he said when I probed, eyes avoiding mine. Guilt? Fear? I drowned in it, replaying the kiss. Had I pushed too far? Then Gabriel summoned me to his office, a sleek bunker of steel and screens overlooking the Hudson. "Sit." He didn't offer coffee. Last night was illuminating. My stomach dropped. Mr. Hale. Gabriel. And cut the act. I saw you. On the terrace. His voice was silk over steel. Dom straight as an arrow, Elias. Or was, until you. It's not. But he cut me off with a file slapped on the desk. Printouts of my old socials, pride posts from college, a blurry photo of me at a drag brunch. This is leverage. Walk away or it goes to HR. Inappropriate conduct. Poof. Your career gone. Betrayal tasted like bile. Why? He's your brother. Exactly. Gabriel leaned forward, eyes fever bright. You think a Queen's kid with a flea market backstory fits the Hale legacy? He'll wake up, regret it, and you'll be the scandal that sinks us. I'm protecting him. From you. I stood, chair scraping. Protecting him? Or your slice of the pie? His smile was serpentine. Run along, Elias. Before I change my mind. I stormed out, fury a live thing in my veins. But deeper, hurt, raw and ripping. I'd fallen hard for Dominic, and now the walls were closing in. That afternoon, as I crunched numbers in my cubicle, pretending normalcy, a text from Dom. Dinner? My place. We need to talk. Hope flickered, fragile as a match. I went. His penthouse was dim, lit by the city's glow filtering through blinds. He poured wine, red, bold, without preamble. Gabriel talked to you. It wasn't a question. I nodded, throat tight. He showed me things, warned me off. Dominic's jaw clenched, glass pausing midair. He's wrong. About everything. He set it down, crossing to me, hands framing my face. That kiss? Terrified me. Because it's real. You make me feel alive, Elias. Not the CEO, not the heir, just me. Tears pricked my eyes. But your world. Our world. His kiss this time was fierce, claiming, pouring all the unspoken into it. We sank onto the couch, tangled in whispers and touches that stayed chaste, reverent. Hands mapping shoulders, necks, the curve of a jaw. No rush, just the ache of connection. Laughter bubbling when he admitted he'd botched the coffee stain removal, leaving a faint mark like a badge. We talked till midnight. Plans to go public, slow on our terms. How to handle Gabriel with kid gloves but firm boundaries. He's family, Dom said, tracing my knuckles. But you're home. I left at dawn, floating, the city a blur of possibility. But as I keyed into my walk-up, my phone buzzed. An anonymous email, attachment heavy. I opened it, heart plummeting. Screenshots. The kiss, grainy but unmistakable, time-stamped from the terrace. Sender, unknown. Body, choose wisely or everyone knows. Gabriel. It had to be. The betrayal cut deeper than any blade, twisting the knife with the realization. He'd been watching, waiting to strike. The anonymous email was a grenade with the pin half pulled, and I spent the next 48 hours dodging its blast radius. Work became a minefield. Every glance from Dominic felt exposed. Every whisper in the halls a potential echo of that stolen frame. I ghosted his texts. Miss you already. Lunch? With lame excuses about deadlines, my inbox a fortress against the vulnerability we'd built. Gabriel, the snake, glided through meetings like nothing had happened. His nods to me polite poison. But I saw the triumph in his eyes, the subtle way he maneuvered Dominic into solo briefings, reclaiming territory. By Friday, the pressure cracked me. Mom noticed first, our weekly call, her Queen's accent thick with worry as I picked at takeout lo mein. Baby, you sound like death warmed over. That job eating you alive. Something like that. I couldn't spill, not the kiss, not the threat. She'd beam over Dominic, the big shot, who'd hired her son's fancy degree. Oblivious to the heartstrings he tugged. She paused, the clink of her teacup audible. Listen, Elias. Life's too short for half measures. Remember your pops? Gone at 42. Never said the things that mattered. Don't let fear rob you of yours. Pops. Dead from a warehouse accident, leaving us scraps and stories. Her words landed like bricks, and by call's end, I was resolved. Confront the bastard. But first, Dominic. I cornered him in the executive garage that evening, the air thick with exhaust and privilege. His black Escalade idling like a panther. He was halfway in when I rapped the window, face pale under the fluorescence. Elias? What's? Drive. Came out sharper than intended, but he nodded, sliding over. We tooled out into the rush hour snarl, Manhattan's arteries clogged with horns and hurry, until he veered toward the West Side Highway, the Hudson a silver ribbon beside us. Silence stretched, broken only by the wipers swiping at a sudden drizzle. "Talk to me," he finally said, voice low, hands white-knuckled on the wheel. I pulled out my phone, the email glaring. His face drained as he scanned it at a red light, jaw locking like a vault. "Gabriel, you knew. Not this, but suspected." He accelerated, merging with a growl. He's always played gatekeeper. After the divorce, he convinced me to focus on the business, scared off anyone who got close. Thought it was brotherly love. Now, it's control. We ended up at his Hamptons retreat, a modernist glass box on the dunes, waves crashing like accusations. He built a fire in the great room, the crackle underscoring his confession. Gabriel's spiral after their father's death, forging docs to cover embezzlement, the LA trip masking a breakdown. I covered for him, always have, but this, crossing into us? No. The word warmed me despite the chill. We sat on the rug, knees touching, plotting like generals. Trace the email's IP, he had tech guys on payroll, confront Gabriel without torches, offer him help, therapy, a leave. But if he won't bend, Dominic said, eyes fierce, he breaks. For us. That night we didn't kiss, too raw, too soon. Instead, we shared the queen bed platonically, his arms slung over my waist in sleep, breath steady against my neck. Waking to sunrise gilding the surf, coffee brewing, him in boxers flipping pancakes. It was domestic bliss, a glimpse of the life we could claim. "This," he murmured, feeding me a bite, syrup sweet on his thumb I licked clean, "is worth fighting for." Back in the city Sunday, resolve hardened to steel. Monday's board meeting was a powder keg. Gabriel presenting ops updates, all charm and charts, but Dominic's opening salvo landed like a howitzer. Before we dive in, a personal note. Loyalty's our cornerstone, but so is trust. Anyone undermining that. His gaze swept the table, lingering on Gabriel, who paled under his tan. Steps down. Voluntarily. Murmurs rippled. Cynthia arched a brow, sensing drama. Gabriel recovered slick. Here, to trust. But his eyes on me, venomous. Post-meeting, I lingered in the hall, heart pounding, when Gabriel grabbed my elbow, yanking me into a supply closet. Ironic, huh? The door clicked shut, fluorescents buzzing like hornets. "You think you can waltz in, play house, and rewrite the rules?" I wrenched free. "This isn't about rules, Gabriel. It's about letting him breathe." He laughed, bitter. "Breathe? You have no idea the fires I put out for him. The deals I dirted my hands for while you fetched coffee." His face twisted, vulnerability cracking the facade. "He's all I have left. Dad's ghost, Mom's ghost, they're in him. If you take that." "I'm not taking. I'm giving." The words hung, and for a beat, his mask slipped. Eyes glassy, shoulders slumping. Pity stirred. Unbidden. "Get help, Gabe. For you. Before it consumes everything." He shoved past, door banging, but not before muttering, "It's already too late." The week escalated. Leaks to the Times about internal fractures at Hailux, stock dipping on speculation. Dominic and I worked back to back, our bond a lifeline. Midnight runs for bagels, forehead kisses in the elevator that left me dizzy. But the photos circulated subtly. Whispered to influencers, a blurry tweet from a burner account captioned Hale's dirty secret. HR called me in, Cynthia presiding like a judge. Elias rumors, photos. "We need your side." I stonewalled, denied nothing, confirmed less, trusting Dominic's legal sharks to circle. He did. A press of his own, positioning the scandal as baseless smears from competitors, our blockchain tech as the hero. Shares rebounded, but the toll showed. Dark circles under his eyes, my own reflection gaunt in the mirror. Then the climax detonated. Friday night, a Hale family summit at the penthouse. Dominic's ultimatum, masked as reconciliation. Gabriel arrived wired, scotch bottle in hand, eyes bloodshot. I was there as mediator, per Dom's insistence, perched on the couch's edge like a coiled spring. It started civil. Dominic laying out the evidence. IP traces to Gabriel's laptop, server logs of forum posts. Why, Gabe? We could have fixed this together. Gabriel sneered, pacing like a caged tiger. Fixed? You're blind, Dom. This thing with him, jabbing a finger at me. It's a liability. The board, the investors, they'll crucify you for fraternization. I'm saving the legacy. Dominic stood, voice thunder. The legacy? Or your grip on it? I found the accounts, Gabe. Offshore. Millions siphoned. Dad's death didn't break you. It tempted you. Gabriel froze, color draining. You don't understand. Ido. Dominic's tone softened. Heartbreaking. You're drowning. Let me throw the rope. The room tilted. Gabriel's laugh cracked, manic, and he lunged. Not at Dom, but me, grabbing my collar, slamming me against the bookshelf. Volumes tumbled, Hemingway, Fitzgerald, like literary casualties. You poisoned him. You! Dominic hauled him off. Brother wrestling brother in a tangle of grief and rage. I scrambled up, chest heaving as Gabriel broke free, wild-eyed. You'll regret this. Both of you. He stormed out, door slamming like a guillotine. Silence crashed in, broken by Dominic's ragged breath as he pulled me close, checking for bruises. I'm sorry. God, Elias. Not your fault. But tears stung, the violence a mirror to the fractures we'd ignored. We sank to the floor, him holding me as sobs racked us both. Not just for the night, but the illusions shattered. Outside, rain lashed the windows, a deluge that mirrored the storm within. As thunder rolled, Dominic whispered, I choose you. Whatever it costs. But costs, they were already mounting. And Gabriel's parting shot echoed, regret. The morning after the blowout dawned gray and unrelenting. The penthouse a crime scene of shattered illusions. Scotch splashed across Persian rugs, books splayed like fallen soldiers, the air stale with betrayal's aftertaste. Dominic was a ghost beside me in bed, staring at the ceiling as if answers hid in the crown molding. He's gone dark, he murmured. Phone clutched like a talisman. No calls, no texts. Gabriel's Maserati vanished from the garage log, his assistant claiming personal leave. I brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint, handing him a mug with a kiss to his temple. Give him space. He'll come around. But doubt not. Gabriel wasn't just blood. He was the shadow architect of Hale Lux, the one who'd inked deals in smoke-filled rooms while Dominic posed for Forbes. His disappearance, it left voids. Ops reports half-finished, suppliers ghosting calls. By noon, the board was circling, Cynthia's email terse. Urgent leadership stability. Dominic forwarded it to me with a single emoji. A clenched fist. We holed up in his office, turning crisis into command central. I pulled strings, calling in favors from Antwerp contacts, auditing ledgers for Gabriel's fingerprints, while he rallied the troops with that unshakable Hale gravitas. But privately, cracks spiderwebbed. What if he's right? He confessed over cold pizza at midnight, eyes hollow. About us being a liability. I cupped his face, thumbs brushing stubble. We're not a scandal. We're a story. And stories sell, especially the real ones. He leaned into my touch, vulnerability a rare gift. You make me believe that. Those days forged us in fire. Power lunches where his foot hooked mine under the table, a signal of solidarity. Evenings tangled on his couch, watching old Bogart films, my head on his chest, heartbeat a lullaby. No grand gestures, just the quiet romance of shared silences, of him tracing the freckles on my knuckles like constellations. You're my North Star, Elias, he'd say, and I'd melt, the world narrowing to us against the tide. But tides turn. Wednesday brought the flood. A courier package, unmarked, delivered to reception. Inside, a USB drive labeled Truth. Dominic plugged it in, face paling as files bloomed. Not just our kiss, but a montage, grainy clips of late-night walks, my hand in his pocket for warmth. A voice memo of me laughing at his pancake flop, intimate as a diary, culminating in an audio bomb. Gabriel's voice? Slurred, time-stamped post-fight. You think you know him? I built this for us. You'll destroy him, you homewrecker. Worse, financials. Proof of the siphons, millions funneled to shell companies. Gabriel's signature digital and damning. A note, scrawled, choose him or the empire. Expose this and hail Lux crumbles. With love, G. Dominic's hands shook as he ejected the drive. He's bluffing. Is he? The room spun. If we went public, scandal twice over, fratricide and fraud. Silence the brother, invite whispers of cover-up. Either way, blood on our hands. We drove to Gabriel's loft in Soho. Abandoned, door ajar, the space a husk. Half-packed boxes, a single tumbler on the bar smeared with fingerprints. On the fridge, a photo. Young Dominic and Gabriel, arms slung, grinning at a beach bonfire, carefree before the weight descended. Dominic touched it, voice breaking. I should have seen it sooner. The envy, the pain. We're seeing it now. I pulled him close, the loft echoing our breaths. Together. Back home, resolve hardened. Hire investigators, loop in lawyers, but offer Gabriel an out. Confession, repayment, rehab. One last chance, Dom said, drafting the letter himself, words raw, brother, come back. We're Hales. We fix our own. No reply. Days bled into a vigil, work a blur of damage control. The board pressed. Dominic stonewalled with charisma, but Cynthia cornered me in the elevator. He's unraveling Elias, and you're the loose thread. For his sake or yours, cut it. Her words festered, but I doubled down. Took him to my mom's for Sunday dinner. Queen's row house crammed with knickknacks, her famous lasagna bubbling. She took one look at us, hands brushing as we passed plates, and winked. About time you brought a keeper home. Dominic charmed her with stories of flea market hunts. But later, washing dishes side by side, he whispered, this, normalcy. I want it with you. Hope bloomed. Fragile. But Saturday shattered it. A call at 4 a.m. NYPD. Gabriel's car, wrapped around a tree on the Taconic Parkway. Whiskey on his breath. Skid marks screaming speed. Critical but stable, airlifted to Westchester Medical. Dominic was out the door in seconds. Me scrambling after. The drive a nightmare of rain-slick roads and his white-knuckled silence. The hospital was antiseptic hell. Beeps, bleach, families huddled like refugees. Gabriel in ICU, tubes snaking, face bruised purple. Dom collapsed into a chair, head in hands. My fault. No. I knelt, gripping his knee. His choices. Hours ticked. Surgeons murmuring, monitors flatlining tension. Dawn broke as Gabriel stirred, eyes fluttering open to land on us. Dom. You're safe. Dominic's voice cracked, hand engulfing his brother's bandaged one. Why, Gabe? The road. A weak laugh, cut by a wince. Couldn't face it. The mess. You. Happy. His gaze shifted to me, not hate, but hollow ache. Sorry, Elias. For everything. The dam broke. Dominic wept. Raw, shoulder-shaking sobs I'd never witnessed. While I stood sentinel, throat tight. When nurses cleared, Gabriel confessed in whispers. The siphons born of desperation after a bad bet. The leaks a desperate bid to force Dom's hand. The photos a final, frantic push. Thought it'd scare you off. Save him from us. From love. Dominic's tone was steel wrapped in sorrow. You're my brother. That's forever. But this ends rehab, restitution. Or jail. Gabriel nodded, tears tracking. Rehab. Promise. We left at noon, the rain easing to mist, a pact sealed in the parking lot. Family first, but boundaries ironclad. Dominic pulled me into a hug fierce enough to bruise. You saved us. Both. In the car, hand in his, I felt the weight lift. Not gone, but shared. Back in the city, the board reconvened. Cynthia's face a mask as Dominic laid it bare. Gabriel's leave, reforms incoming, unity reaffirmed. Shares ticked up. Whispers died. But the real victory? That night, on the terrace where it began, Dominic dropped to one knee. Not ring, but a vintage watch from his father's collection. Gold engraved to Elias. Time with you. Marry me. Not tomorrow, but soon. Build this with me. Tears blurred the cityscape. Yes. The proposal hung in the air like confetti after a parade. But life doesn't pause for ticker-tape moments. It barrels on, demanding you dance through the debris. We kept it quiet at first, a secret talisman against the world's grind. Stolen weekends in the Hamptons, where we'd walk the dunes hand in hand, salt wind whipping secrets from our lips. Quiet dinners at hole-in-the-wall bistros in the village, where Dominic learned to twirl pasta without judgment, his laughter freer with each shared bite. At work, we were pros. Professional distance in meetings, but elevators became our sanctum. Quick kisses pressed against cool metal doors, hearts racing to the ding of arrival. Gabriel's recovery was a marathon, not a sprint. He checked into a discreet facility upstate. Silver Pines, the kind with yoga and equine therapy for trust fund wrecks. Emerging after 90 days gaunt but grounded, eyes clearer, the manic edge dulled to resolve. His first family dinner post-rehab was awkward as a first date. The penthouse table set formal, Mom's old china gleaming under candlelight, air thick with unsaid sorries. He hugged me stiffly at the door. Elias. Congrats, man. On everything. And meant it, the words a bridge over the chasm. Over steak and confessions, he owned it all. The envy that festered after Dad's death. Watching Dominic shoulder the crown while he played court jester. The pills a crutch that morphed into theft. I thought I was the hero, he admitted. Fork paused midair. Turns out, I was the villain in my own story. Dominic clasped his shoulder. The brothers' bond mending like a fine watch. Gears realigned, ticking true. By evening's end, Gabriel was sketching restitution plans. Assets liquidated, board apologies drafted. And you too, he said, lifting a glass of sparkling water. Don't fuck it up. Life's too short for hail drama. We toasted to second chances, to family redefined. As he left, clapping my back, take care of him, yeah? I felt the last thorn pull free. Forgiveness isn't erasure. It's choosing to build on the scars. Hail Lux thrived in the afterglow. Dominic greenlit initiatives I'd pitched in whispers. A diversity mentorship program, sourcing ethical gems from LGBTQ+, led co-ops in Botswana, turning our brand from elite enclave to inclusive beacon. The board, even Cynthia, thawing like permafrost, rallied, her emails shifting from probes to partnerships. You're good for him, Crow, she conceded over coffee one morning, her razor bob softening with a rare smile. Don't let it go to your head. Publicly, we eased out. A joint interview without magazine, Dominic's arm around my waist in photos, his words steady. Love isn't a boardroom decision. It's the boldest one you'll make. Backlash flickered, trolls on X decrying woke capitalism, old money clients grumbling. But allies surged. Pride endorsements, stock bumps from millennial investors. Mom framed the clipping on her fridge, beaming through tears. My boy's a trailblazer, just like his pops would have wanted. The wedding was quintessentially us. Small, on a crisp October afternoon in the Hamptons, dunes as chapel, ocean as choir. No paparazzi circus, just 50 souls. Mom in a vintage Chanel knockoff, Cynthia as unexpected maid of honor. Someone's got to keep you in line. Gabriel best man, his toast a gut punch of humor and heart. To Dom and Elias, may your love be as unbreakable as our watches and twice as timeless. Vows exchanged under a chuppah woven with sapphire threads, a nod to Hale Blues. Rings simple platinum bands etched with coordinates of that rain-soaked alley where we'd first truly seen each other. Wait. No, that was the proposal spot, but close enough. Memory blurs the edges. After, as stars pricked the velvet sky, we danced barefoot on the sand, his chin on my shoulder, breath warm. This is it, Elias, the real empire. I pulled back, grinning through happy tears. Ours to rule. Years folded like well-worn pages. Hail Lux expanded. A foundation launched in Dad's name for queer youth and trades. Gabriel rising as COO. Steady now with a boyfriend of his own, a quiet architect who grounded his fire. Mom moved into a co-op we gifted. Her flea market hunts upgraded to gallery openings. And us? Mornings tangled in sheets, evenings debating vintage versus vintage inspired over takeout. Arguments over who hogs the covers. Make-up sex that's all tenderness and talk. The quiet thrill of building a life from coffee stains and stolen kisses. It's not fairy tale, no empires without its thorns. Boardroom battles still rage. Gabriel and I trade barbs over budgets. Brotherly, now. And some nights, Dominic wakes sweating legacy dreams. But we face them shoulder to shoulder. Hearts synced like the finest chronograph. That day in the boardroom, it wasn't an accident. It was fate, spilling truth in a scalding arc. And in seeing me, really seeing, I saw him too. Not the CEO, but the man worth every risk. In America, land of dreamers and doers, we carved our story. Not in gold or glass, but in the unbreakable alloy of us. Humanity's the real luxury. Flawed, fierce, forever.